And when I was finally done with the game, I genuinely was a changed person.
Welcome to Stories of Creativity. I'm your host, Joe Vertis, and in this episode, Skye Magus shows us some of his digital art and webcomics as he describes the paths he's taken to develop his skills and challenge himself within these mediums and other art forms. You'll notice this part of the interview has a distinct style. That's because Skye volunteered to edit a segment of his interview himself. Aren't his editing skills bomb? I love what he did with the settings and animations. Our chibi characters got to go on a world tour. Enjoy part 3 of Stories of Creativity with Skye Magus. Since you have worked in so many different kinds of art forms, I wanted to ask you, is there something that you've learned from one art form that later changed the way you think about or work in another art form?
Absolutely.
Nice.
Absolutely. In making webcomics, one of the biggest things that I had to do was learn not only how to draw, which I'm still not comfortable with my drawing, and I'm constantly looking at tutorials and trying to change them up. Actually, am I allowed to show things that I'm working on?
Yeah, why not?
Oh, sweet.
That'd be great.
Let me do this. I'm used to Discord. I'm not used to
yeah.
But I think I know how to do this. So,
I'm gonna have to get more familiar with Discord. So I gotta give you a chance to share your screen, right?
Yeah. You can do that while I load this up.
Great.
But I'm just showing this to show where my art is at currently and how much I detest it.
Awesome. Share screen.
So
do you have the option? Do you have the ability? Okay.
Most disabled participants screen sharing.
I've disabled it. Okay, advanced sharing options, all participants. There it is. Okay, you should have it now.
Okay, awesome. So this is, I just got a new, I got a new drawing tablet, which has a screen on it. So this is like, I'm trying to get used to it. But this is...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is what I ended up creating out of it for my first thing. I still feel like I have a lot of work to do, but yeah.
Wow, that's a very different style from. That's a very different style from anything I've seen of yours before. I love it.
Yeah. So, you know, I still definitely have a long way to go to get to what I want to, but this is like me at the beginning steps of learning a new drawing tablet. And drawing digitally is really hard for me anyway, because like I'm used to putting my hand a certain way and being able to have full control, and like it doesn't necessarily do that. Like for some reason the vertical lines for me do not match up straight. So I'm still learning that. But and learning how to design webcomics, and is there a way for me to share? Yes there is. Where is it? Is it here? No, that's it. Let me just share my screen. So in learning how to do all of this, right? Comic Fury. Back when I was freelancing inside of and I guess being more free in my thing, I talked about how I would just kind of let things flow through me, right? You can see all of this, right?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay, so this was my first ever webcomic was right here.
Wow.
And view webcomic. And I wanted to test myself as much as possible. So I didn't have a story. I was kind of freelancing it. I was kind of like just going, whatever happened with it. I didn't have a clear cut anything when it came to it. And I was trying to challenge myself. This was all in MS Paint with a trackpad. So I was trying to challenge myself with the worst possible tools that I could. To get to see how far I could go with it, right? And so as the weeks went by, because I would do this like within 30, I got good enough to do this within 30 minutes. And I was more, this webcomic was more about challenging myself artistically than it was about actually the story. So like the story doesn't necessarily make sense, but like in every single week, like learning how to draw this in MS Paint with the trackpad, learning how to draw grabbing,
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And so everything, the spiral effect of the bullet, whatchamacallit, all of this was on a trackpad in MS Paint.
It's crazy. So that go ahead. Sorry, Skye.
No, you're good. Go ahead. Ask your question.
Just such a. I just want to say how cool that is. What a cool challenge to find the worst possible materials that you can and see what you can do with them. Yeah.
And this was my challenge to myself, because I was like, the story is not going to matter to me. What matters to me is how my art can develop over time. And like, yeah, I just kept going with it for a split moment. And like, I think this was August 9th, 2013. So this was my birthday, and that's the last thing that I have on here. Never come back to this. But I have this inside my arsenal now as, okay, well, I can take a trackpad. I could take something as bad as this and go from this, which wasn't bad in its own as a trackpad and knowing what materials I'm using, all the way to like, something like this. Right. Or something like this, or,
that's really amazing.
This is my favorite thing I've ever done inside of all of that, because it like really symbolized how far I had come.
Yeah, that's incredible.
So in doing webcomics, learning the hero's journey, learning the writing process has helped me tremendously in the webcomic process, and learning the art and learning the writing, like all of it mixed together. And it's not even just webcomics. It's also like, if I ever wanted to make my own anime, if I ever wanted to make my own show, if I ever wanted to make my own, cartoon or my own video game, I have all of these things inside of my arsenal. Like, if you go to my YouTube, right? Here's how much I get into things. I have, I make, anime edits. So I have tips and tricks for anime edits for After Effects. I have them for CapCut. I have writing 101, I have art 101, I have social media studies. Like,
well, I didn't know this was your YouTube. I think I have a different YouTube for you.
I've got so many YouTubes, it's not even
this is really cool.
And I've got like so many anime edit videos that I've done within the span of like less than a year. I think 10 months was my first anime edit on this account, and I've just been like going occasionally ever since. So I'm consistently trying to improve at anything that I am doing, and I'm always, looking at different avenues, different things to help me with it, different things to I've got art 101, writing 101, a whole bunch of things. Food recipes for my own cooking style, but like, yeah, I've got everything. And this is how I approach anything that I do. I will make a playlist of everything that I possibly can. I will devour as much information as I can so that when I get to it, I can try out different things and I can get better at it.
Got it. Smart. Things. Yeah.
So that's how I view pretty much anything. And it all correlates inside of, like I said, video games were one of the main things where everything that I was either decent or good at, I could put all in one place. Whether it was writing, whether it was music, whether it was drawing, whether it was, crafting dialogue, voice acting, whatever the case was, all of it went into that. And I definitely think that everything that I've learned kind of correlates with itself.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm enjoying making videos for the same reason. It feels like it combines a lot of skills that I've worked to develop over the years. It's really fun.
I realized early on that I couldn't be good at just one because my ADHD wouldn't allow it. So
yeah,
I would start a project and then get into a project in a different medium and then get an idea for a project for a different medium. And I would just be juggling all of them until none of them got done.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so how do I fix this? And the only option that I could come up with was to combine all of them into one. And so I started looking at things that would combine them all into one. And I had the option of making comics. I had the option of making anime and cartoons and videos, or I had the option of making video games. And I felt video games was a medium that would truly, I could make all of it by myself. And I loved video games so much that it was like Final Fantasy VII, I talked about it earlier, but that was a huge defining moment for me when I played it. When it first came out in like 96, 97. When I played that, I had never known up until that point that I could be so invested in a story and the characters. Whenever I read a book, right, I will get so invested in it that I feel like I'm there with it.
Yeah.
So when I get to the final chapter and the final page, I'm like, well, what happens afterwards? I'm not ready to let them go yet. And Final Fantasy VII for me was that. I was so invested in the story, so invested in the characters, I felt like I was there with them the whole time I played. And when I was finally done with the game, I genuinely was a changed person.
Wow.
And so that was the first time that I felt that video games were a medium. They were a next level medium, because you go into a movie and you're invested in it and you're lost in the movie and you're enjoying the ride, but like it's a different experience because it's like watching a movie or reading a book. With video games, but you're in charge of that character and you're in charge of their actions and you are 100% right there in the mix. So a video game that's done right will make you feel like you are completely in that world and you'll go along with the whole story. And if it's a really good story, then the whole overarching plot and the things that they're trying to hammer home to you, the morals and the lessons will get through to you and you're like, oh, I 100% agree with that. And it'll change you as a person. And I had that experience with Final Fantasy VII as a kid.
Thank you so much for checking out this episode of Stories of Creativity. The fourth and final part of my interview with Skye will be coming out soon. Hope you have a wonderful day with your creativity, my friend. See you next time. Bye.